The cold wind bit at Liam's face as he stood outside the diner, his fists deep in his pockets. The neon sign flickered, casting a dull glow over the cracked pavement. Inside, warmth and laughter spilled from the booths, families, couples, friends sharing meals. Liam had neither the money to step inside nor anyone to meet. Just a year ago, his life had looked different. He had a steady job, an apartment, and a sense of direction. Then, one mistake, one moment of misplaced trust, had cost him everything. He'd been fired for something he hadn't done, and before he could prove himself innocent, the damage had been done. Friends distanced themselves, opportunities vanished, and he was left standing where he was now, alone, hungry, and unsure if he had any fight left in him. Liam turned away from the diner, bracing himself for another night at the shelter. But just as he stepped off the curb, a soft voice called out, "Excuse me." He turned to see an elderly woman holding a tray of food. She had kind eyes, the kind that had seen years of both hardship and joy. "Would you like a warm meal?" Liam hesitated. Pride and desperation fought within him, but his stomach decided for him. He nodded, barely whispering, "Thank you." She smiled and gestured toward an empty bench. "Come, sit." As Liam ate, the woman introduced herself as Margaret. She owned the small bookstore across the street. "I see you here often," she said gently. "You remind me of someone." Liam swallowed his food, embarrassed. "I don't mean to loiter. I just don't know where else to go." Margaret nodded. "A long time ago, my son found himself in a similar place. He lost his way, thought he had nothing left. But I told him something that I'll tell you now. Sometimes proving yourself isn't about fighting the world. It's about fighting the part of you that wants to give up." Liam looked down at his hands. He'd been trying to prove his worth for so long, to bosses, to friends, to people who had long since stopped believing in him. But had he ever tried proving himself to himself? Margaret pulled a small notepad from her bag and scribbled an address. "Come by tomorrow," she said. "I need help at the store, and I can't pay much, but it's something." Liam stared at the paper, unable to find words. No one had given him a chance in so long. The next morning, he found himself outside the bookstore, heart pounding. He could walk away, or he could step inside and see if there was still something in him worth proving. He took a deep breath and pushed the door open, and in that moment everything changed.